Okay, here we're going to show you how to rotate an MR register from Macnaught 180 degrees, as you may need to mount it with the flow coming from the right hand side and out the left, and that means that the register will be upside down. So what we'll do is we'll start off with removing the front cover by undoing these 4 cap head screws. This will allow the front cover to be removed and access where we need to remove the register assembly. Gently lift your front cover off, put that to one side. Here's where we have the register assembly. You have your reset part of it. What we need to do is down inside there is 4 screws, cap head screws, that hold the register assembly into the back housing. We need to remove those 4 screws, as you can see down in there. That will allow the register assembly to be removed from the housing so that we can rotate the back housing 180 degrees. Now when those 4 screws are removed, very gently lift from the right and then slide out. So what we're going to do is lift up the assembly and pull out in that fashion. This allows you to disengage the reset knob. Be very careful of the spring that's on the side there, needs to stay on. This will expose the 4 screws that hold the register back shell onto the flow meter. What we need to do is undo those 4 screws. And this will allow us to rotate the back shell 180 degrees. So once that's done, gently lift the back shell off, rotate round 180 degrees, and then assembly is exactly the same but in reverse to how we pulled it apart. So we'll put those 4 screws back in. And make sure they're down firm. Okay, what I'll do is rotate the register around 180 degrees so that I can work on it. Now with the register assembly, be very careful of the little spring that is on the reset shaft here. Now I find it easier to put the assembly back in with none of the bolts in to the holder there. We need to put it down on a 45-degree angle that way to allow that spring and that mechanism to engage for the reset. Make sure that that little spring there stays in its position, and then the register is sitting down firm in its spot. Be very careful of this spring here for the reset assembly. Make sure that that spring all works okay, and then we just put the 4 screws back in the position that they come out of, and then that will hold the register assembly back in position. You may find it easier to do this with the flow meter out on the bench, like you can see here. It can be done while it's in position because you're not interfering with the flow of the fluid at all. we tighten those screws down, and then just make sure that when you push the reset in, that you can reset the register back to 0. Make sure that the spring here and all those little things are back down. You'll see the little black section sit up against that spring, and that the spring's down in its position. Once that's done, we just gently put the top cover back on. Tighten down the screws. And that is how you rotate the MR Macnaught Mechanical Register 180 degrees.